you better than the standard systems today, but they are in the $30,000 to $50,000 range, depending on the size.
But taking a place like, say, Riverhead, or in that area where you have a lot of flat land and a lot of density, doesn't that lend itself to a municipal sewer system?
There are areas in, across Long Island where there are opportunities for sewering. There's no doubt about it. But no, we actually did a sewer study. We got a grant from the county to conduct a thorough sewer study for the Flanders Riverside area as part of the revitalization plan. And it showed that there's simply the cost of it and the location of it, because of how it's built out currently, highways, etc., that actually was not feasible. One of the things they looked at was actually hooking into the Riverhead sewer plant, but that too was cost prohibitive. So the plan that has actually been looked at there is creating about 6 or 7 cluster systems. So they would cluster for neighborhoods within the district, if you will, and meet this standard that we're talking about, the higher standard. And from a cost perspective, that's actually the best way to do it too. But then it presents a challenge for the municipality. Do we create sewer districts? Do we tap into grants and these programs? And these are the kinds of things that we're challenged by.
How disjointed is that effort across Long Island? I know that takes a lot of coordination between the municipalities, and due to the nature of the way things were built out, that's an even bigger challenge.
No, it
so the approach typically, what I've seen, seems very fragmented.
It was very fragmented. It's becoming less so. The state and the county have worked together, particularly in the aftermath of Sandy. And as you may know, the governor in his budget allocated it's upwards of $300 million for sewering in Suffolk County. But it does not address the full landscape here by any stretch, and everyone recognizes that. And that is why the state threw its support behind the Clean Water Technology Center, because there's just a full recognition for the fact that we need a variety of solutions depending on the neighborhood and parts of the district that you're looking at. And it can't be disjointed. It has to be coordinated.
Right, and that's villages and towns and
absolutely.
All that overlap is
right. And
bigger.
that is part of what the Technology Center is looking at, is mapping all of this and understanding how to best then with a large scale plan. And then the funding part of it is a big challenge.
On that same point, the one little soundbite that you might want to add is that we're sitting on courts. Suffolk County is just a giant sandbar. Yep. And you don't have the clays and the soil to absorb the septic system. So when you have all these septic systems, that's why it's going right to the water. Now I want to tie in one more piece that you said. The greatest hope for us was on the news last night, and that was that Brooklyn is now the most expensive place to live in America. And it's a 2-bedroom apartment, 800 square feet, average is $3,700 a month. And you can't move in the place. And speaking as a former chairman of the Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce less than 10 years ago, where we were crying for money to build Brooklyn, and Bob led the Brooklyn Partnership that was way too successful. So here's my point. With these big institutions, all this intellectual capital out here, the effort has to step up to commercialize a lot of that technology and research, but this is also becoming a really cool place to live for younger people. We have a little condo in West Hampton, and one of our new owners, it's a couple from Google. So Google did it smart. They bought a building in New York, and they got everybody who wants to work at Google. They get to live in Manhattan, they get to live in Brooklyn, but it's now becoming very crowded and very cost prohibitive. They have a '69 Volkswagen, vintage restored, and a little kid, and on Friday they drive out to the Hamptons to get away from the city. And when you look at what Paul's done in Patchogue, you look at downtown Bayshore, these are quite livable places with tons of restaurants and nightclubs. It's really, I think, becoming more attractive if you maintain the water quality in the beaches and the bay, which is what really makes it
better. Yeah, and that's the challenge. The challenge is making these land use decisions that are marrying the need for that kind of smart growth development and supporting businesses. And again, that's why I say, to me, we can talk about creating jobs, but let's really talk about what it means to start a business here, to maintain a business here, when you cannot access the kind of skilled labor that you need for that.
You got to
skilled or
that's
unskilled,
right.
for that matter. And if we don't start looking at our existing build-out, because we are stretched, I think, from further build-out without taxing the environment and without the challenges that come with that from an environmental perspective. But we have such opportunities with these downtowns.
You brought up a couple good points, and one good point is Nika Davis at Stony Brook University. I attended a forum a couple weeks ago of all the new companies that have set up with Stony Brook. And also we have Eastern Suffolk BOCES representation here today of our creative technology. And I think we need to incorporate the job growth of the incubators and creative technology into it to make Long Island stronger.
It's a very, very important point, and one that I actually speak to a lot, because I think that, again, when we're talking about supporting our businesses with skilled labor, then that is obviously then on the training and the educational institutions to be partners in that. And understanding what skills are our businesses looking for. So how do you structure your programs then to support businesses and the needs of businesses? And one of the things that, and again, I approach this as a mother of 4, and my kids are all taller than I am now, and they range from 22 to 29 years of age. But they're dealing with all this stuff. They're dealing with student debt. They're dealing with navigating a job market. They're dealing with navigating the healthcare market, and are growing up under very different circumstances than we grew up. And in so many ways, there's an analogy to be made between the generation that grew up after the Great Recession, where that young generation watched parents lose jobs, lost their farms, had to move, find opportunity elsewhere. In a lot of ways, the generation that is my kids' generation, and probably all your kids' generation, is dealing with the same thing. And so when we look at the access to education, the access to what is today's economy and job opportunities there, we have to create affordable education and accessible education. And I think when we look at our community college system here, Adelphi, Dowling, and Stony Brook, all of our educational BOCES, all the opportunities for training and education here, we have to also know that students can come and go without necessarily having the burden of owning a car. And I think we have to start looking at how do we support grown or young parents. I have this thought about, could we talk about creating child care opportunities while these individuals, these students, so many who could use just an additional level of training to be able to move up in the businesses that they may already be employed. And particularly this affects women, and everyone knows that, particularly single mothers. And when we're talking about creating income opportunities and equal pay opportunities, we also have to understand what is at the basis of creating those opportunities. And if we could work out a system where, A, there's mass transportation to get to these opportunities, but also kind of child care opportunities right there in place. So a young mother could bring her kids with her. And the kids might be in a different room getting some homework help, some after school assistance, that kind of thing. And the boost to the economy and to people's personal income from programs like that, they've been tried elsewhere, they work. Or something we should look at here, I think.
You just sparked something in my thought. We have an aging population on Long Island that is not necessarily unhealthy. They're strong. I'm wondering if those people could be incorporated in the child care that the young mothers need. It's like our grandparents that we don't have anymore. And
are you volunteering?
No, I'm volunteering in Harvard.
she's not old.
10 points.
So I'm just thinking, you know, there's a symbiosis that could possibly exist here.
There's absolutely a symbiosis, and you know, we know today, first of all, you know, a lot of people are not ready to retire. They might reach the traditional retirement age. They're not ready, or they're not.
Unlike me, some of these people actually like kids.
All right, so you've disqualified yourself.
How could I?
You know, but also that need to be making money still, you know, and that's a real reality. There are a lot of people who are not poised from a financial standpoint to go into retirement.
And it's healthier for them.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But
Yes.
when you have a responsibility going into old age, you feel more healthy.
All right, and now that Lee Zeldin is going to watch this, so when he comes out at the next debate and says, I have this great idea, you're going to say, oh, no, we heard Anna talk about that first. Sorry, Lee.
Go ahead, Al.
You're running in a district that has one of the most dense populations of military veterans.
Yeah.
You're running potentially against an opponent that has military experience. We read in the paper about the crisis with VA at the national level. We read in Newsday about the crisis in Northport Hospital shutting operating rooms because of ventilation systems that aren't working. How do you prioritize veterans issues in your district?
Well, I made it a big priority. The other challenge that East End veterans have is transportation to get to points west for care and services. So I worked on an arrangement with the VA to have a representative once a week at a town facility, and we, you know, made it widely known that it was there. We made our transportation system within the town available to veterans. We could pick them up and bring them to services. And then we contracted with SUS, Services for the Underserved, which is a great organization. And they have now set up shop at our Flanders Riverside Senior Center. And it is an issue that is, I mean, we have the largest population of veterans in Suffolk County of any county in New York. We have the largest population of homeless veterans of any county in New York. It's a huge challenge here. And to me, one of the big offenses of the fact that we sort of gingerly send our men and women into combat and expect them to serve our country and to serve all of us and make sacrifices, and then they come back and they are not guaranteed the health care that they need, whether it's physical or mental, that they're not guaranteed somewhere to live, and that they're not guaranteed a job, is deeply offensive to me. And in this time where we have the ability to create services, job guarantees, training, we should stop at nothing to make sure that that is available to every veteran who wants it, needs it.
Does Congress have a role to play in determining our strategy?
Absolutely. And the financing for it too.
John, go ahead. You had a question, then we'll go over to you.
I'll start off by saying is that I am not an angry American, and I do not understand the whole angry American syndrome. I think we're blessed to be in the United States and blessed to have a world that functions as well as it functions. That all said, I am saddened that, especially it seems like in Washington, there's an inability for, you know, both sides of the aisle to work on the people's business. What will you do to bring about some change so that there is some work across the aisles? Or sort of when I was in school as a kid, they told you that the Senate stands above all that fray, and it doesn't appear that way anymore.
Now, there's no question that, you know, both the Senate and the House are just mired in partisanship and gridlock at the moment. And
Do you see yourself as a bridge builder?
I do, and I think that I can speak to my 8 years of being a bridge builder in local politics and getting all sides to work together. And again, to me, our responsibility is to serve and to bring results and to make government work for people. And if that includes, which it inevitably does, like in everything else in life, it includes being able to compromise, it includes being able to listen to every side of something, and it includes being able to get people to work together on it. and understand that no one is going to walk away getting everything they want. But if we don't start working together as a country united to resolve these issues, I hate to think where we're going. I mean, we're already seeing the after effects of years and years of gridlock now. So that's when I walked into a town hall, and you know, all politics are local, as they say. And the truth of the matter is, I don't see any difference between getting people to work together and find common sense solutions on a local level where we deal with a lot of tricky nitty-gritty issues, and where we have the public scrutinizing us morning, noon, and night, to doing the same thing there. We all have to have willing partners, but I think the general public is tired of this. I mean, we know Congress is at an all-time low approval rating, and I think people are going to go to the polls in November and vote for people that have a track record, and not only saying that they'll work together. Zeldin said, oh, he was going to be the great centrist, he was going to get everyone to work together. He's gone straight down a partisan line, refused to work cooperatively on pretty much everything. And you can't just say things, you have to walk the walk. And I think the American people are going to vote for people in November who actually mean what they say and have a track record.
And
just like President.
As a young man, I worked as a union negotiator. And I came into the room knowing that the guy on the other side of the table wasn't my enemy, he just had a different job.
Yep.
And I think that's the attitude you have to take. And I've run this organization for the last 14 years by putting anybody who has any ambition whatsoever to get up in front of that room and make a presentation. I think you might have the stuff to do that.
Are you endorsing me or not?
Well, he's going to be debating you next.
Say.
Well, you speak about the veterans, right? Why let the veterans go to a VA? Why don't we just let the veterans have the choice of whoever they want to go to? Don't you believe that that should be a choice of the veterans?
I think there's a twofold answer to that, because I think we also have to recognize that a lot of times veterans have very specific medical needs that have to do with the kinds of injuries that they're coming back, and also have to do with the mental health challenges that they're dealing with.
But instead of waiting on long lines in the VA hospitals, they can have access to the best medical coverage in the world, so they can go to any doctor, hospitals for special surgery,
I think
top notch.
The whole system has to be revamped to look at options and the access to appropriate medical care.
Do we have a problem with Northport? I don't think we do.
No, I don't think we have a problem with Northport, but I think that again, we're talking about access issues. We're talking about coverage, and for a lot of veterans, if they are not going through the VA system, they don't have the coverage for it, elsewhere and things like that. So I mean, there needs to be a real comprehensive.
They should have access to any doctor.
Yeah.
Well, the Secretary of VA, Bob McDonnell, has a voucher program now, where if you have a wait time that is unrealistic, or if you have a distance to go beyond a certain mileage, you can go anywhere.
But they should still be able to go anywhere no matter what. They should have to get a voucher to do that. They should just say, I want to go see a doctor, I want to go right down the block to see a doctor. I don't want to travel 30 miles to go see a doctor,
It's expensive.
Yeah.
All right, I think I want to take one more question and we'll close if there is one more question.
I would like to take the opportunity to ask a question.
Yes, go ahead, Raj.
Thank you. I'm a great director, I'm a college professor at Alpha. Now, all the points you made are absolutely something I think we all want. Child care facilities for moms and better transportation. Drove 16 miles, but it took me 45 minutes. Yeah. We all know that. And improving the environment. The big thing is the cost for everything. Are you suggesting that we may need to raise our taxes to pay for all these? Or how do you, I'd like to hear your views on financing these very important needs.
Yeah, mean, there are a lot of financing opportunities through the federal and the state government, you know, that look at these sorts of programs. And I think it's, again, understanding the cost of dealing with these issues up front rather than dealing with them at the tail end when the train has left the station, if you will. And that is the part that is so rarely talked about or analyzed. And when you look at investing in these things, investing in improving our infrastructure, investing in improving our mass transit, investing in the opportunity for affordable education, and you understand that you're better off directing dollars there than elsewhere, that's where you have your solution to that.
All right, we're going to close, but I want to thank you so much. And we're going to take a photo.